Welcome to Friends of Jeff. I'm Jeff. That's my friend Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason.
This is take two because we've already had one technical issue.
Oh, we've had a few technical issues, mostly on my end, but that's all right.
Well, it's the first one of who knows however many we do.
Yeah,
and
right.
that's the way it works, right? Nothing ever works the first time you try it.
That's right. Well, it is always operator error on my end. So,
Let's see. So we were saying before we were so rudely interrupted by the platform crashing on us. We've known each other for almost 30 years. Is that right?
yes, December 94, January 95, somewhere in there is when we first met working at good old Chili's Grill and Bar in Bolingbrook.
Yeah.
That is a shameless plug for a place we used to work at 30 years ago. So there.
Yeah. And it doesn't do us any good if you go there. So whatever.
No, no doubt.
So that's Bolingbrook, Illinois, for those who are scoring at home. And you and I are both Bears fans. The Bears kicked off their first game of the season and of the Caleb Williams era today. Ugh.
Yeah, I'll admit, for the past week, I've been touting this as the beginning of our new Bears quarterback's Hall of Fame career. And, well, that did not pan out today for sure.
No, not good.
No.
In fact, halftime, I was so disappointed in just their showing from the very beginning. I was just like, this is not what we signed up for, man. I mean, I expected better than what they have, like 25 yards passing and like 19 sack yards, minus 19.
It was bad. I think, they were a net positive, like 5 yards at halftime or something like that. And a buddy of mine, I have this text group amongst coworkers I have. We're all Bears fans, and he was in complete panic mode. He was like, "Oh my God, here we go again. Should have kept Fields. Look at what Fields is doing." I mean, he had a decent game today, but it was typical Justin Fields. But anyway, he was just going bananas. And I kept trying to say, dude, it's the first half of the first game. Calm down. But they couldn't get anything going on offense today. They really couldn't.
That was kind of how I was thinking. I was like, all right, it's first game. Let's just temper expectations. But my God, did they start so slow again?
Yeah.
Every year, it's the same thing. I mean, they went no touchdowns, a couple field goals, a couple missed plays. I think, the first half, I'll be honest, I thought the game, I didn't think that Caleb was ready for the NFL. He was not crisp, sharp. He missed open receivers downfield, and I don't know if it was just nerves, even though if you watch Hard Knocks, it was like, no, I don't get nervous. I'm like, okay, bullshit.
Yeah,
he had to have been nervous.
He looked nervous. He played nervous. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. And I know it's funny because I know they were it almost seemed like they were trying to force feed his game. And I'm like, God, just hand the ball to Swift. Get the running game going. And they were just determined for him to throw the football early. And he couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it.
55.7 passer rating, the 11th worst debut amongst all rookies since 1970. So
that's crazy.
Overall, I'm looking at the stats now. 14 of 29, 93 yards. He had 15 yards rushing. No turnovers, I don't think. He did fumble once.
He dropped the snap. Yeah. Dropped the snap that missed time to play, and unfortunately got Keenan Allen hurt for a bit. I know he came back late in the game, but still, I mean, can't have it,
Yeah. But here's the bright side. This is a game they absolutely would have lost last year. And they somehow still figure out a way. The defense absolutely bailed them out well. Will Levis bailed them out with that handoff that he gave the cornerback for the interception and a return for a touchdown.
Arguably Tyreek Stevenson's easiest interception pick six in his entire life. But, for sure. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the Bears defense looked like the monsters of the Midway of old. I mean, and that's good because they're obviously, at least in the early going, they're going to need it big time.
Yeah. I'm looking at the box score, trying to see if anything jumps out of me. TJ Edwards, 10 solo tackles, 2 for a loss. I mean, that's a pretty big game. 15 total tackles.
Yeah, solid. He was good.
The guy they just picked it up from Seattle had, two sacks?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm trying to stay positive, right? It's the Dub Club. So
yeah, right.
We're 1-0. The Packers are 0-1. Life could not be better, but they have got to be better next week.
Definitely. Both corners had a pick today. Jalen Johnson actually should have had 2. I know his one was kind of in garbage time out of desperation, but still, I mean,
Sealed the game. That was it.
yeah, it did. And the funny thing is, Levis, all he had to do was manage the game, and they win. And well, he didn't, and they didn't. So it's 1-0. I guess at the end of the day, that's all that matters. But yeah, they better get to it at practice because Houston is not going to be like today at all.
Houston's a much better team. They have a legit quarterback there. It really was a tale of two halves too. I mean, the first half was ugly. I mean, that was just it. But they shut them out in the second half, and they put up 21 points.
Yes.
However, they put the points up, which was all defense.
Yeah.
It counts.
Hey, we'll take it. I mean, big punt block that you don't see very often, and Mr. Simone Biles, Jonathan Owens in the right time, in the right place at the right time. I mean, you take it, right?
Yeah, a win's a win, ugly win, but we'll take it. I think positive thing for me is that's a game I feel like they would have lost last year, and yet they figured out how to pull out a win. So you called before the season, you think they're going to win 10 games.
I'm sorry. I've gone through the schedule. I think there's a path to at least 10 wins. Now they play like that today. They may not get to 5 wins. I mean, my God, but and last thing, Velus Jones, dude, can we stop trying to have him return kicks? Please.
The Chicago Bears game thread on Reddit was very anti-Velus Jones, just to put it that way.
Yeah. I understand he's a potential home run hitter as a running back, but my God, man, he cannot catch a kick to save his life. Not good.
No. Let's see what else in the NFL. Anything jump out at you?
God, I mean, not really. I was hoping the Giants would help us out with Minnesota today, but Sam Darnold proved he could still play a little bit. And,
yeah, no kidding. He went off, huh?
Yeah, he went nuts. And granted, you're playing the Giants, and you're gonna go nuts. I mean, my God, I'm sure they're crying about not having Saquon Barkley anymore. Look at the night he had on Friday in Brazil.
Yeah, no kidding. Nobody saw that game, but he went crazy. 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you saw Strahan crying in the pregame on Fox today about Saquon no longer being with the Giants. It was kind of funny, but yeah.
Well, I think that's the market for running backs, though, right? I think the NFL doesn't pay running backs. And I think, is he the highest paid? He's got to be up there, right? 3 years, like $30-something million.
I would think so. It's got to be him or McCaffrey for the Niners. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can see McCaffrey. Yeah.
But yeah, they always get hurt, right? I mean,
they're pretty replaceable, it seems like, and
yeah,
they're not willing to sink money into that stud feature back like it used to be.
Right. No, it's a passing league now, and
yeah.
You need a star receiver over a star running back because a star running back really doesn't exist as much, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. I was watching Red Zone, and the Broncos had 2 safeties.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. First time it's been done since like 2017. And the last time it was done was against the Broncos in 2017.
Wow.
Chris Hansen on the Red Zone was bringing that up.
Wow. That never happens. I did not know that. I did not know that.
It was interesting. I think we got some more games to go. We're watching what's on TV right now. Rams and Lions 3-3 at the moment. Theoretically, both are good teams.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Stafford is on the backside of his career, but he could still play. Definitely still play. But yeah, I would love to see a Rams win tonight. I don't know if it'll happen, but for obvious reasons. But
yeah, anything that keeps the NFC North within striking distance for the Bears will take, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, obviously all the Chicago people are going to compare. I mean, Justin Fields with the start today, and what was he? I think 17 of 23 for 150 yards, and I'm sure he ran the ball a little bit, and I also think he threw at least 1 interception. So, typical Fields game.
Yeah, let me look up and see his stats. Let's see. I clicked on the wrong button. Steelers Falcons 18-10.
Yeah, I think they won.
Yeah, they won. They beat the Falcons. And Justin Fields 17 of 23, no touchdowns, no interceptions, and rushing yards 14 carries. Geez, for 57 yards.
That is
but a 91.9 rating. So if I'm looking at the stats, he was twice as good as Caleb Williams.
Caleb, yeah. I have to think it'll get better. I mean, it can only get better, right? It can't get much worse. So,
I mean, he was clearly the focal point of their offense today. If he's tossing the ball 23 times and running it 14 times, I mean, that's a Justin Fields show, right? And he was like a game time decision.
Yeah. Well, because I think the game time decision was if Russell Wilson could play. So,
Yeah.
you know, although I'm telling you,
remember when Russell Wilson was good?
I know. I'm telling you, if Fields gives them anything, Russell Wilson will never see the field for Pittsburgh. I don't think. So
it's kind of weird that both of the prior Bears quarterbacks are with Pittsburgh, right? Trubisky,
yeah, right,
and Fields, and Chicago's been where quarterbacks go to die for decades.
And the quarterback that was rumored to be traded to the Bears in Russell Wilson a couple of years ago. So,
did we dodge a bullet with that one or what?
Oh, big time. Because God, dude, they wanted an arm and a leg for that guy. Luckily, they didn't do it. So.
See, I never thought he was that good. I always thought he was a game manager kind of quarterback.
Yeah.
But then he'd go off and throw like for 4,000 yards. I'm like,
I know.
He can't be that good.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the NFL. It's, overreaction time game. First week's not even done yet. And Bears are going 17-0 Super Bowl.
Well, as I told a certain someone on Facebook today, I said, hey, 1-0 is the only record that matters. So.
It's true. So if you're a Packers fan, you could suck it.
That's right, pretty much. Yeah. And for the record, that person I told was your wife. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
A win's a win.
That's right.
She's upstairs watching the game right now. So
excellent. I'm
sure she's cheering along. And it looks like Detroit scored 10-3. So
yes.
There you go. Let's see. That's NFL. You were sharing a very interesting baseball thing, and I don't give a shit about baseball, so tell me what's going on.
So my baseball fandom is kind of two ends of the spectrum, and I'll touch on the top one right now. My background, my father is an enormous LA Dodgers fan because that's where he's from, and so I pay attention to kind of keep up with him and things like that. And baseball fans might get a kick out of this. They might not, but they might get a kick out of this. That Shohei Ohtani is on the verge of the first 50 home run, 50 stolen base season in the history of the game. And that's, I think he's 46 home runs and 46 steals right now. So 4 of each away with just less than a month to go. And I just think that is unreal. And
yeah, it looks like he hit 46 today, 450-foot solo shot.
Yeah, that's a bomb. That is
even I know who he is.
I don't follow baseball,
but I know who Shohei Ohtani is, and he pitches too, right?
Yeah, he's coming off of arm surgery, so he's not pitching this year. Okay. But yeah, when he does, he's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a devastating slider. So, arguably, I'm not saying the greatest player, but arguably the greatest natural talent that the game has ever seen. Definitely in my lifetime, for sure. I mean, it's
hard to argue if you're a starting pitcher and you're able to hit.
Yeah,
those are typically two different players.
Yeah, and able to run. Obviously
the guy stealing bases too.
Yeah, granted, this is a guy in Japan who would pitch once a week, take a day off from pitching, and then play outfield the other 5 days a week. Now, he doesn't play outfield in the MLB. He's a designated hitter, but still, it's just amazing. And when you put this guy's name in the same sentence as Babe Ruth, it's a big deal.
Well, there's generational talents. It seems like he might be one of them.
Most definitely.
Was he known before he came to MLB? Was there a projection? It's like, oh yeah, this guy's the next coming of whatever baseball Jesus there is.
Yeah, I think when he was posted by, I forget what team he played for in Japan, but when he was posted, there was a big competition to sign him. But I don't think anybody could have forecasted what this guy has brought to Major League Baseball since he's been here. There's no way. It's one of those, I knew he was good, but I had no idea he was this good. No idea.
And you can't let a player like that walk away from your team, right? You pay him whatever you have to.
Well, the Angels did. The Angels let him go, but that's probably because the Dodgers signed him to a 10-year, $700 million contract this past offseason. Yet, the first 10 years of that deal, they're only paying him $2 million per season and deferring the other $68 million beyond that 10th year of the deal.
Is this another Bobby Bonilla day?
Oh,
deal?
it's going to be a big Bobby Bonilla day deal. But
we're going to have a Shohei Ohtani day.
yeah, no doubt. But definitely a smart move. A lot of people think it was dumb, but I'm telling you, man, that guy has made so much money for the Dodgers that they'll make that $700 million over that time period look like pennies, in my opinion. I mean, you've gained a guy who's got an entire country behind him. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's a huge Japanese population in Los Angeles that Dodgers are selling out every game, and they're in first place. As of about 3 days ago, they had the best record in all of baseball. So, and they don't even have their entire pitching staff back. So their lineup is just devastating, and yeah, it's incredible to watch. My dad's a happy man, needless to say.
And you've got people like me who don't follow baseball at all and have no idea what's going on. Even I know who they are.
Well, if you don't know about that stuff, then hopefully you don't know how bad our beloved Chicago White Sox are this year.
Oh, that's the second thing I know about baseball, but only because my wife Barb constantly reminds Sox fans of how bad they are this year.
Yes, and I'm one of those Sox fans that she has reminded on numerous occasions, and you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. But
what's their record?
I believe they won today, so they are now, I want to say, 33-111.
33-111.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are right. That is, they are. Hey, they're only 48.5 games back.
I know.
First.
I know it. So
you're saying there's still a chance?
I mean, I think they were eliminated out of the playoffs before even September started. So they could have won every game, and the other team could have lost every game, and it still would have mattered. I mean, this is a team that has 3 different losing streaks of 12 games or more this season alone. That's how bad they are. So
why are they that bad? Is this an injury situation? Is it like payroll and they're just not paying players, or what?
Yes and yes. D, all of the above. I think,
do they have anybody good on that team?
No, currently, no.
Not a single stud.
No, they honestly don't. As much as I wanted to believe that Luis Robert was the next big thing in baseball, the center fielder, but he keeps getting hurt. And even though he's played, he was out for a few weeks earlier in the season, but even now he's been back for a couple of months. He's only batting barely .220. And I'm
looking at their team stats, and they don't have a single player batting over 300.
I don't think they have a single hitter hitting over 250 that plays any significant amount of time.
That's what I'm trying to figure right now. Let's see. Games played. Gavin Sheets, 128 games. He's hitting 242.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Tommy Pham has played 70 games, whoever that is. He's hitting 266.
No longer with the team.
Okay, all right.
They traded.
So, there you go.
They traded him. In fact, he's 2 teams removed from the White Sox. So how about that?
Let's see. Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. So
what do they do? Just blow it all up and start over? I mean, is this a Moneyball situation?
It could be. I mean, I think they've already started that, which is part of the reason why they are this bad this year. They had a lot of contracts run out last year. They have more contracts running out this year, which is a good thing. I think they're kind of bottoming out. Well, kind of. They are bottoming out. Let's be real. Whether they wanted to or not, that is what's happening. I mean, they did fire their manager about a month ago, and their new manager, I think, has won like 4 games since he took over. So obviously, he's not going to be around next year either. But it is sad times on the south side of Chicago. I don't really have an answer. I mean, hence why I'm sitting here with you and not working for the Sox. But I really don't. I really don't know.
Or maybe that's why they're bad. Maybe you should be working for the Sox because you know what you're doing. At least you know what you're talking about.
They didn't call me. What can I tell you?
I mean, you've got 3 sons and they all play baseball?
I have 3 sons. One 2 of them now play baseball. One is finished, but all 3 of them played in college. So yeah, I like to think I know a little bit what I'm talking about. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Sox are bad, man. They're bad.
Well, that warms my heart just because I've never liked the Sox.
I know.
Even though I don't care about baseball, I've always been anti-White Sox.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, in any, most Chicago fans, you just can't like both. I'm very rare. I like the Cubs. I love the Sox. Most people in this town love the Cubs, hate the Sox, love the Sox, hate the Cubs. It's.
Yeah, I don't understand the whole. I'm a Chicago fan.
I get it.
Like I feel like you have to draw lines. You have to say no. Here's where I stand.
That's fair. I get that. I just enjoy good baseball, and unfortunately, you're seeing more of it on the north side lately than you are on the south side. Although the North Siders,
I don't think they're very good either.
They're limping to the finish, and unfortunately they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're at least respectable.
Yeah, at least they're over 500, 73 and 70.
Yeah.
Still 9 games back from the Brewers.
Yeah, and I think they're 5 or 6 games out of the last wild card spot, so I don't see them making the playoffs. But again, they're at least watchable. The White Sox.
Hey, you know what? We saw a World Series in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
From the Cubs. We will dine out for another 100 years of no World Series.
Yes, and yes, I watched every game. I had my oldest son is a diehard Cubs fan. All his buddies were here. We watched the games together. It was a ton of fun. So I do remember. But
do you know that Barb went to a game? She was at Game 5.
I did know that. I'm jealous. I would have.
She's their lucky. She's their lucky fan. I
would
guess.
have loved to.
That was the one they turned it around.
Hey, I appreciate Barb as a fan. I mean, she went to a World Series game. You guys went to the Cubs Cardinals in London. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah, but travel, I guess.
Yeah.
I was there more for the stories. I had a chance to go to the World Series and I turned it down. I said, no, you should take your sister, who is a much bigger baseball fan.
That's fair.
And I still feel that's the right call.
Yeah, I get it.
That's me, magnanimous in all things.
I get it. But
it would have been cool to go.
Yeah.
But, it'd been like, all right, whatever. It's just baseball.
Yeah, I could watch it on my couch where the food is free and the bathroom is close. I get it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, if it was like Blackhawks or Bulls or Bears, that would have been a different story. That's for sure.
I'm with you on that. I never went to a Blackhawks finals game. I did go to a Bulls finals game when they played Portland. I forget the year. When they played Portland, and Jordan had the 35 points in the first half when he just could not miss from 3. I was at that game. One of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Is that the one where he did the shrug?
When he looked at Magic Johnson and basically said, I don't know. Well, he knew.
That was 1992.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That was title run number. That may have been their first one, believe it or not. Because they won 92, 90, or no, that was the second one. They won, I think it was 91, 92, 93, and then 96, 97, 98. I think.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. 91, 92, 93, and then 96, 78.
Yeah, so there you go. But that's right, because they played the Lakers in the first time in the finals. Portland was the second team they beat.
Yeah, and they kind of blew them out, too. It was 4 games to 1?
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. Which is good.
Hey, when Jordan's on a team, it's not close in the finals, man. Never was.
How do you think you would fare in today's NBA?
I really think because the NBA is a lot, I think, more lenient this year or these days. I think he'd score 50 points a game. In his prime, I think he would score 50 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is probably, I don't know, bias, right? I think you and I both grew up watching Jordan, and he was clearly the best player on the court in every game he played, just about.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it was a different era. I mean, I'll be honest, I miss those NBA final series against the Pistons, against the Knicks, where there was bad blood between teams, and it was physical, and it was so much fun to watch, and it was so competitive.
Oh man,
to me, those are the best days of basketball.
Watching him go up against those bad boys from Detroit with Lane Beer and Rick Mahorn and even when Rodman was on Detroit. I mean,
yeah.
And then, having to go up against Starks and who was the other guy? Xavier McDaniel for the Knicks.
Yeah.
And then
he just looked like a
thug. Yeah, totally. So, yeah, definitely. And then, when they played Seattle, it was Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. And then it was when they played Utah, it was Stockton and Malone. And, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nuts. So
Yeah. Well, and you could hand check back then too, I think also, and you can't do that as much anymore. So yeah, I'm with you.
I mean,
He'd probably shoot 25 free throws a game.
yeah, because back then you go down the hole, you get knocked on your ass. That doesn't happen as much today,
And now you got the Euro step.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
which is what, legalized traveling?
Yeah, it pretty much
it
is.
Feels weird.
Don't get me wrong. I know there's the debate who's better, Jordan or LeBron, and we'll never be able to answer that question. I respect LeBron's game. I respect LeBron's career. I think it's amazing that he's been able to play for this long. Granted, if you look at the stats, he never plays a full season, where Jordan, I think, played 82 games like 9 years in a row. And, there was a couple of years where he maybe played 81 or 80. I mean, there was the 1 year he broke his foot, like early in his career. But other than that, he played.
And it was a more physical game at that point,
yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah. So, like you said, just two different eras, man.
But that's the fun part of sports, right? Is how do you try to compare, LeBron and Jordan, or Shohei Ohtani and Babe Ruth, or Caleb Williams and, well, anybody else?
Yeah, no doubt. Caleb's. I mean, you can compare Caleb to, the QB that started for Plainfield South High School on Friday night. That's my local high school. So that's how poorly he played. But he'll get better. He'll get better.
Yeah, first game.
He'll
that's
get
fine.
better.
Let's get the jitters out now, and we'll work out things, and we'll see if things hopefully get better. I'm gonna stay positive.
Definitely.
I know I'll be on calls tomorrow for work, and I know there's a couple of Bears fans that I'll be talking to. Like, oof.
Oh yeah.
As we get on those calls, like, do we all feel the same way? Like we just escaped something?
Oh yeah. We'll all be playing Monday morning quarterback, and I can't wait to listen to the score on Chicago Sports Radio tomorrow, and everybody calling in saying, "See, we should have kept Fields. This guy's shit." And all that, it's whatever, but it is what it is.
See, now I would have kept Fields, and I would have still drafted Caleb, let the best guy win, and then because I Fields would make a great slash player. Like he could be a running back, a tight end, almost like a better Tim Tebow, or what's the guy in New Orleans?
Yeah.
They're always messing around. Taysom Hill. Yeah, like that kind of player. I don't think Justin Fields would have gone for it, but you can never have enough good quarterbacks on your team.
For sure. I mean, my coworker was like, "Man, they should bring Bajan out in the second half." I'm like, "Oh my God, dude, they are not going to do that. They're not going to bring."
All right, I like Tyson,
I love Tyson, but unless Caleb Williams gets hurt, Tyson Bajan's not going to see the field.
No. Yeah, the only time he's going to see field is injury or mob.
Yeah, right. Time. Or if somebody else gets hurt in the league and they trade him. So
yeah, that's true.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Tyson can play in this league, but dude, he's not your every week starter. No way.
No, he's not. All right, well, that's sports. What else do you want to talk about? I think we're trying to figure out what this thing is still. So, I mean, there's plenty of stories we can talk through.
Yeah.
There's a debate coming up.
There is a debate coming up.
I don't know if you've heard about that. There's a presidential election this year. Did you hear?
Oh yeah, I've heard. I wish. I know, there are some differences of opinion here and there, but I believe it or not, I wish both sides had a better representative to enter this election. But we got what we got, so we'll see.
Well, to play devil's advocate, the Democrats did replace their guy already.
They did.
Which to me shows a lot of courage, for lack of a better word. Because, all right, after that first debate performance, Biden was obviously really eating shit at that point from everybody.
I agree. I do give them credit for that. I just don't know if they took the easy way out by replacing him with who they did, or if they made the right choice. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like this has been a lost opportunity for Kamala for the last 4 years that she's been vice president. She's been not AWOL, but not visible, right? If the plan always was, and this is what Biden said 4 years ago, was he was a transition president and it would be time to hand things over, she did a terrible job of, highlighting her stature within the party, but also within the government. And she would disappear for long stretches of time.
I would agree. And my thing is, I feel like at least these are the ads I'm seeing on television. And I'll admit, I don't follow it as nearly as closely as I should. But I think that she's running on the fact that, we're going to change things in the future and things are going to be better. Then it seems like she's saying they're going to be better than they currently are. And I'm like, well, Kamala, you're in office right now, essentially. I mean, I'm not to say she's part of the problem, but where's the accountability for the present day situation that a lot of middle America is in right now, and it's all focused on how we're going to be going forward. And while I get that, and I get that a presidential candidate needs to do that, but she doesn't acknowledge the present at all. And that's kind of disappointing for me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a lost opportunity because inflation has sucked for the last couple years, but it's actually gotten down quite a bit from where it was. And so I don't know if they're necessary. I don't know if people are feeling that yet. It usually takes time, right, for that kind of stuff to kind of work its way through. But I'm looking at a chart right now. In 2021 it was 7%, and now so far this year it's 2.9%. So there's definitely a trend down from 7 to 6.5 to 3.4 last year to 2.9 so far this year. So, and it seems like we've been kind of hovering around that 3% mark pretty much all year as I look at the months. But I don't think there's been enough, I don't know, discussion maybe it is around, yes, it sucked, but it's getting better. And now the Fed is saying that they don't expect any significant layoffs. That's what Janet Yellen said today. Now, I'm not a financial person. I don't listen to this podcast for financial advice or medical advice while I'm thinking about it, or legal advice. But I see things that seem to be indicative of a recovery of some sort. Now, when that trickles down and hits people, that's the question. Everything's expensive now.
Yeah, I mean, everything's expensive. I mean, I'll admit the industry I work in, which is food service, has been hit pretty hard. And I said for the longest time that going out to eat was like the last luxury that people were willing to give up, right? I mean, yeah, you gotta cut back on vacations or, cars or, just expensive things around the house or whatever. But I always said people really enjoy going out to eat, and sometimes it's out of necessity, but a lot of times it's for entertainment. And I'm starting to see in my world that is even starting to go down. Businesses are down. They are struggling. They are fighting for every penny out there. And you're still seeing restaurants go out of business. I mean, every day around here, and buildings change hands and they try to make it for 6 months and then they're gone. And it's just, it's too hard. And I think that's a ton of factors. I think food, raw materials cost too much. Labor costs too much. I'll admit, I think the minimum wage here in Illinois just makes it too difficult for small business owners to operate. They can't afford to pay people for jobs that aren't worth what they're getting paid for.
Well, is it that it's not worth it, or consumers aren't willing to pay the prices that it would take to have someone have a living wage?
I think it's both.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we found out in the pandemic that there were a whole lot of essential worker jobs, right, that get paid nothing. Like, maybe I'm a little more naive, but I'm of the thought it's like, okay, every job should at least be able to afford a place to live and eat and stuff like that. If you have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs to make that happen, I think that's kind of unrealistic for people. And what happens if you happen to have a family?
You're right. I mean, that stinks. And that's one of the things I know Kamala is running on, is saying, hey, you shouldn't have to work more than one job to pay your bills. I totally agree with that. However, there are jobs out there that, I'm sorry, aren't worth whatever minimum wage is now, $15 an hour. I'm sorry. Flipping burgers at McDonald's to me is not worth $15 an hour.
Is it worth it to you when you show up and you're hungry and you want something to eat, and then McDonald's isn't open because nobody wants to work for that?
Well,
that
I don't
minimum
prefer
wage?
McDonald's, but I hear you.
All right. Well, if I go to Dairy Queen, I like Blizzards. For me, if it costs a little bit more for the Blizzard, for that availability of that Blizzard to be there by virtue of the business being stable and a worker there to mix ice cream, which I could absolutely do myself, but
Sure.
I don't want to. Isn't there a thought there to say, well, yeah, that's worth it's the availability of that service that I'm willing to pay for. It's not just the product itself.
I understand that, but let me ask you this. Is it an expectation of somebody to be able to support a family by working at Dairy Queen?
That's the question. I don't know.
Most of those jobs, I think you'll see, most of those jobs are held by high school kids or, somebody, it's kind of just getting started in the workforce. That's the kind of job I started with. I mean, I've got my first framed paycheck right here on my wall in my basement here. I made $3.75 an hour, and I wasn't expected to. I know it's all relative, but I certainly wasn't expected to support a family on that at the time, way back when, and all that. But it's tough. It's a tough one.
I don't have the answer.
what it's tough for is small business owners who have to pay for this, and there's just not enough revenue coming in to cover it all, and that's why, in some cases, and you're starting to see it at places like McDonald's where they're down to only one cashier and everything's ordered at a kiosk, and because the nice thing about kiosks is they don't have to be paid anything. I mean, granted, you got to pay to install them and pay to run them, but you don't have to pay. They don't call in. They're a one-time
cost plus any kind of software updates or electricity or OpEx that kind of goes with it. And plus, people don't want to talk to people anymore. They'd rather use an app.
Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes
the beauty of a kiosk is they don't call in sick and they don't bitch. So they just do their thing. So,
well, they don't do that yet. Have you heard of? I think it was Wendy's or maybe it was Taco Bell was experimenting with AI in their drive-thru. And so when you pulled up to the drive-thru, it would actually be an AI person that would, or thing, I guess, would be taking your order, not a human being.
Oh my God.
No,
I have not.
Let me look it up real quick while we're talking here. I think it was AI. I think it was Wendy's, but I know that they've been experimenting. Yeah, expanding use of its AI drive-thru chatbot. This was in December of last year. And if this just tells you how far AI has gone, you pull up to a drive-thru and you hear those recordings sometimes, right? It's like, it sounds like someone's about to take your order, but it's not really. It's like a pre-recorded message or something. For sure. And then you hear the actual person. This is fully AI. You tell them what you want, it responds, and it is using generative, intelligence to give your order
insane.
back.
That's crazy to me. I mean, yeah, that's beyond my pay grade, if you will. So yeah, that's nuts.
I mean, I'm a nerd, so I think it's fascinating. It's not good for workers.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
It's cool to think about it. I mean, we're closer to the world of the Jetsons than we think, but it's that's wild. But you're right, it's not good for workers. It's
well, maybe it is. No, it's probably not. But here's what I'm thinking: if you can't run everything through AI, so the people who are left, theoretically, there should be more available funds because they have more responsibility in part of their role. Maybe instead of having 10 people that you're paying on a payroll, maybe it's 4 or 5, but they're paid more.
That could be
because they have more responsibilities.
I hear you, but then that puts. Yeah,
I don't think that'll happen because the owners want to keep that money for themselves.
But it also unfortunately puts less jobs out there available to people. And I mean, kids coming out of the job market, out of college, and I mean, I got one who just went through it, and one who's about to go through it. It's tough out there. It's tough to find something, and
we can always get into consulting. Consulting firms eat up fresh college graduates all the time.
That's true.
They are cheap labor for us.
Well, I will remember that. I mean, luckily my oldest got a job as a recruiter, and he's doing pretty well with it so far. But we'll see. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, a lot of kids get out of college and have to move back home and go back to doing what they were doing until they actually find something, and it's tough.
And they have student loans they have to worry about too. So there's that. I never went to college, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I've never had that weight hanging over my head. I've been working since I was 17 years old.
Yeah, luckily I don't have that weight over my head either. Granted, I didn't finish, and I had the opportunity to finish and did not. But my boys luckily have had some assistance through baseball, and it's kind of helped them along. But yeah, they still have some loans to pay off, and will be doing that for probably into their 30s, unfortunately. So and I'll admit, I think college, watching my 3 kids, quote unquote, do college or make their way through it, I think it's a complete ripoff, to be totally honest with you. I don't think you get the.
Are they prepared for the workforce?
Well, the thing is, high school did not prepare them for college. And then I don't think college is specific enough in their education to steer them towards a career. I think I'll give you this. Unless you are a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, I think you could get through life just as easily without a college degree than if you had one.
I can support that. I feel like I have. I'm in technology. I'm self-taught. Yeah. I do have an economics credit to my class, to my transcripts.
It's funny because I think of you as a perfect example of this. I mean, look at, I don't know how much college you actually went. You said the economics credit. I don't know how much more you have beyond that, but
that's it. I have I think 1 economics credit and maybe one intro to computer class. I'd probably test it out if I was like, I'm already building my own stuff. Like, I don't need this.
And look at you now. So
But it's taken me longer to get where I am than somebody who does have a college degree.
It's unfortunately the way the business world is. They want that piece of paper. They don't really.
Yeah, and I've run into that multiple times where I've literally hit the top and I cannot be promoted because I don't agree. Okay, see you later.
Yeah,
I'll find
and the funny thing is that they don't care what more often than not, they don't care what the degree's in. They just want you to have it. So,
I'm with you. I mean, when I hire people now, it's less about their formal education and more about their attitude and their personality. I can train information. What I can't train is personality and just, the attitude that comes along with it.
No, they say there's 2 things you can't train. You can't train effort and you can't train attitude. And that's in any business. So it is what it is, unfortunately. And so I think it's a broken system, to be honest with you, but I don't see colleges changing their ways anytime soon. They want the money. They make it more expensive every year. And it's, until employers are willing to give a little bit, unfortunately, it's going to remain the same. So.
Well, I think some employers, look at it as, okay, fresh meat for the grinder. Consulting is one of those businesses where generally there are, and I'm not saying like every college student, but generally most good college students can probably get into the consulting. Now, is it what they want to do? No, they probably don't want to be like staring at spreadsheets or building PowerPoint. I mean, it's crap work, but you're getting real world experience theoretically, even in a field that might be
100%. I totally agree with that. I mean, getting any kind of work experience you can get, I think it's good experience. Any interview you can take, I think is good experience. The one thing that school does teach you to do is be organized. A lot of times it'll teach you how to work with a team. A lot of times it'll teach you how to plan, how to manage your time. Those kind of things, yes, it does teach you, but it's awfully expensive. Those are expensive lessons.
Well, it's difficult too. I think at that age where, do you really know what you want to be when you grow up, when you're 19, 20, 21? Some people do. Some people don't. And how do you teach that? You're kind of still 100%. Finding yourself.
I agree with that 100%. So,
I mean, if we had been in what we were when we were 20, we would be in a rock band called Expo right now.
Yeah.
That was our plan. I mean, we were roommates and we waited tables, and that was our job, right? We supported ourselves purely through waiting tables.
Yes. And it was, at the time it was very lucrative. It was a lot of fun. It was easy. For the most part, it was brainless work, to be honest with you. And we loved it. But unfortunately, as we all knew, we had to grow up.
Yeah. I mean, could you wait tables now?
No.
I couldn't either. Like I would struggle with like a
no,
2 table section.
it's so funny because there's been just in trying to pay for things, and boys playing travel sports was a whole nother subject we'll get into another time. But to cover some expenses, I'll admit I've done some odd jobs here and there for like the restaurant my wife used to work. They would need an extra person. I believe it or not, I've worked security, I've washed dishes, I've done brainless work. And she's like, why don't you serve and take a shift here or there? I'm like, no way. I couldn't do it. I don't have I don't think I have the skill set for it anymore. I definitely don't have the attitude for it because I don't want to put up with the public anymore. But I couldn't do it. She does it.
Yeah, I wouldn't put up with anybody's shit at this point. Like, just
no. I mean, Michelle still does it and does it very well. I don't know how she does it, but she does. But I couldn't do it. There's no way.
Well, I think there's people who have dedicated, like that's their career. Like that's what they've chosen to some degree. It's like, okay. And there's like my brother like has gotten into that, right? I mean, he's kind of doing a lot of things, other things now, but a lot of time spent. And there's really good servers, bartenders, restaurant people, whatever it may be, where they've chosen, it's like, yeah, this is what I like to do. And they're willing to invest themselves to actually get better.
Oh, no doubt. I've heard, servers and bartenders, you work your way up and work in the right places. You can make 6 figures doing that kind of thing easily. The one good thing that we were able to take out of it with Michelle working restaurants all these times is I never once put any of my kids in daycare ever. I mean, she was able to, work flexible hours and the hours we needed. She could be home when the kids were done with school, and it worked. It worked out perfect. And mentally, she struggled a while with, oh my God, I feel like I don't contribute. I don't make enough money. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're saving us thousands of dollars a year in daycare costs, and we're not paying somebody else to raise our kids for us. And
that's should not be overlooked.
No doubt. And I think that has paid off so many times, because I'll tell you, I hear stories of other people's kids and all the, school shootings, whatever it is. Luckily, we've been able to be active, and the kids have been home, and they've been able to have their friends over and kind of do what kids do or should be doing, and they thrived. I can confidently say that all 3 of my kids thrived in our household. So, and I'm very thankful for that. And if she didn't wait tables for a living, that would not have happened. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like. I don't have kids, but the 3 you've got.
So far, so far so good.
You never know, right? Yeah,
there's still time.
So far, so good. I think I met him once, maybe a couple years ago. We went around for the block in the the Tesla, and
they still talk about it. Every time I bring up the name Jeff, they're like, "Oh, is that the one with the Tesla?" I said, "Oh yeah." So, yeah. They're a good crew. Well, I mean,
how do you think this debate's going to go? Who's going to win?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean,
can somebody win at this point? I mean, who is the debate for? I feel like most people have made up their minds. It's like, who's still not like sure what they're going to vote for?
I mean, that Trump is going to talk fast and try and spin things to make Kamala seem stupid or look stupid. I mean, let's face it. He's called her stupid in his speeches. I mean, that's just how he is. He's brash. He's harsh. He's definitely not your best friend. I know he's not your best friend. That's for sure. But
I consider myself in the middle. But as I've shared with you, I am anti-Trump. I wish there was somebody else on the Republican side with sanity. How bad do you have to be that Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney are not voting for you as a Republican? Come on, seriously? That's like the Emperor and the Sith.
I know.
For Democrats, be like, I guess they're Jedi now? I don't know what that means.
I guess, yeah.
Like, come on. Just, personality and just being a human being have to matter for something.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Grant, I'll admit, I don't need my president to be my moral compass. I just need him to be able to run the country. I think his first go around with that, I think he did a pretty decent job. I know a lot of people don't agree with me.
Well, my stocks were up, so that was good.
I know.
But that's not money I'm going to see for, hopefully 20, 30 years.
I know obviously COVID derailed a lot of that. And, and I think that contributes to part of it contributes to what we were talking about before with inflation being so high in 2021, because we're coming off of COVID. And, a lot of people attribute the job loss to Trump. Well, the job loss, I think, was due to a lot of COVID reasons. And then some people attribute the job gain that came back to Biden. And again, COVID's gone, and it's not gone, but it isn't as much of a thing as it is now. Well, of course, jobs are going to.
We're in the deal with it phase, I think, at this point.
It's the jobs came back, and it's not like anybody was the savior. It's just that's kind of what happened, and people went back.
Yeah, you have a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. So, I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean, the best you can do is try to keep people healthy and try to keep people, with enough funding to cover their housing and food.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump did that.
Yeah, he did.
So,
I mean, the stimuluses and the PPO loans and all that. I mean,
now there was a ton of
no doubt about it. No,
so I mean, that was crazy.
Properly, I mean, the funds were there. The government made those funds available to people, which I think was a good thing. And the stimuluses, I think those helped. I know they helped me, as long as they were used correctly. And for me, they were.
Yep.
And there was a lot of things. I mean, you're able to put your mortgage on hold for a couple months. I was able to put my car payments on hold for a couple months, and that all helped, and I know a lot of that came from the government, so that's good. But I wish, here, let me put it this way. I wish Trump could run the country, but not open his mouth. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of people who think like that.
I know.
But he can't.
He can't help himself.
He can't do that.
He can't get out of his own way. I think that's the best way to put it. He could not get out of his own way, because if he could.
And he's the best thing that's ever happened, and he has the biggest crowd size. A whole bunch of bullshit.
I do agree with you on that one.
Shut up, dude.
The sad thing is, I can't think of another Republican that I wish would step up and do it. There's so much of the old guard still around that there isn't that one young up and comer. And even though I'll admit I'm not a Democrat, but I'll admit back when Obama spoke at the convention for Clinton, I think he was like the opening night speaker. I remember saying to myself, like, this guy will be our president at some point. We don't, because he was young, up and coming, all that. And we don't have that. There is not that person in the Republican Party, unfortunately. There just isn't.
Well, I think there were some, but they've been warded off by the whole Trump, armada of people. Like, do you think Republicans regret putting Trump on the ticket? Was it 8 years ago? Because of how he's totally manhandled the party and gotten rid of a lot of what would have been considered people like Adam Kinzinger or even Liz Cheney or some of these other real Republicans that have been around for a long time. I just don't see it going back. I mean, Trump's daughter is the chairperson of the Republican committee now?
Is she back involved? Because I know she and...
Yeah, I mean, she's like, it seems like the family has gotten their hooks deep into Republican.
Oh, that's interesting, just don't know where because I know she had said that her and her husband were going to step away, kind of to raise their own family. I mean, they've got 3 kids or something like that, and she made it a point at one time to say, "Hey, we're going to step back. We're going to kind of cheer from the sideline and all that." And wow, she's suddenly chairman of the committee. And then,
yeah, it's not her. It's not her. It's not Ivanka Trump. It's someone's wife of the Trump family or something like that. I got to look and see it, but she's like it's the Republican.
What they call it,
committee, whatever it is.
The Republican National Committee. Yeah.
The National Committee. I'm trying to find where it is the person, but it's somebody who is related to
I just
Trump
feel like,
somehow.
Again, I think the guy could do a decent job. I just wish he wasn't such a bully. You know what I mean? I mean, he kind of.
I don't think he's smart enough to be a bully. I think he's so inept that he doesn't pay his bills that he fails upward every time.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. I get that, but I still don't. I'll say this: I don't think the Ukraine war happens if he's in office. I don't think. I just don't think that would have happened. And look at all the money we're funneling over there. It's a ton.
Well, it's because Putin's been emboldened to do stuff. Like we didn't do anything about Crimea. I mean, who knows what's going on? It's Laura Trump.
Oh, okay.
She's the co-chair of the RNC.
Is she Eric Trump's wife? I think. Is that okay?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but it's almost like this infection has gotten into the Republican Party, and I don't see you're talking about generational people now who are getting involved. So even if Donald Trump goes away, you still got Laura Trump is there. You still have Don Jr. You still have others in the Trump orbit. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boeberts and all these ridiculous characters, right, that are kind of out there. And the Republican Party has this very loud right-wing ultra MAGA type thing. And the Democrats have the same thing too, right? They've got, the squad, AOC and others who are, the same, but I just don't know how the Republican Party comes
the sad thing is
this.
I don't think the country has been as quote unquote divided as they are now. And unfortunately we just don't have candidates like Reagan or, even the guys who lost, like McCain or Dukakis or those guys. They at least were classy, could speak, could treat others with respect, that kind of thing. I mean, these last few debates have just, even when it was Trump Clinton or Trump Biden, or, they've just been nitpicking at each other. I mean, when those two got on the subject of their golf games in a national debate on television, I just couldn't help. Me and Michelle were just sitting there laughing. I'm like, oh.
The one time Biden woke up.
Yeah, exactly.
Was to talk about his golf game. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I wish there were better choices. I'm with you on both sides, but I still think character matters. So I wish there was a better choice in our side, and I wish there was younger choices.
I'm with you on that. But unfortunately, I think we're a long way away from that. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how we find our way back. Maybe it's conversations like this where we can actually talk about things and still be friends. More people need to be able to do that.
I just want to pay less for gas, and I want to, I want my dollar to go a little further. Let's put it that way.
Go electric.
I know.
Go electric. I have no idea how much gas costs. I have not purchased gasoline in
I can
4
tell
years.
you, the other day I paid $3.79. And the other day, let's see, I think it was yesterday, actually, I drove by a gas station. It was $3.65. And I know.
And how much does it take to fill up the tank?
Since I drive, such a humongous car, my Kia Rio gets filled. Oh, no.
It's like 13 gallons, something like that?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So you're spending about $35, $40 a tank.
And to my car's credit, it gets about 45 gallons, or 45 miles per gallon. So, and that's pretty good, but still, I mean, in the Chicago area is more expensive. I mean, it's not California expensive, but I think it's on the more expensive side in the country. I mean, we were just up driving through Wisconsin when we took my son to school last weekend, and I paid $3.13. So, you get.
Yeah, I think typically like major metro centers tend to be more expensive. Not California expensive.
No,
that's ridiculous up there. I'm looking at the price around me. It's $3.19, $3.31. So somewhere around that area for gas in the
I mean, you go to downtown Chicago, you're paying probably $4.50 at least.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, if you're living downtown, I don't know why you need a card anyway.
A lot of people don't, and thank God they don't, because I mean, 3 million people live down there, and God, if they had 3 million cars down there, you wouldn't get anywhere.
Yeah, no kidding. You'd have a whole bunch of surge taxes and pricing and stuff like that. There was one city that was experimenting with cameras to track cars, and tolls would be charged based on how busy the city was.
Wow.
This might have been New York City. Let me see if I can find it. and they ended up shelving the idea for now. But the idea was based on how congested traffic was in the city, it would be more expensive to drive into the city to try and deter people from adding more
Illinois
congestion
was
into the
floating
city.
an idea similar to that, where they were going to charge you per mile which you drove. And I don't know how much it was, but I was like, what? I mean, for me, I drive a lot for a living, and it was, like, I don't know, a certain amount of cents per mile. And I thought, oh my God, if I got to pay that, I mean, I'm done for.
Well, yeah, then you've got to charge that to
Yeah, for sure.
your customers, and then your customers are going to charge that to their customers, and then guess what? We're both paying more for.
It's a vicious cycle. So.
Yep. All right, we've been talking for like an hour.
Wow,
time flies.
That's wild.
Yeah. So what do you think? This is our first podcast.
Well, you're the veteran of this, so you tell me, man.
I don't know. I don't even know if anybody wants to listen to this stuff. So right now it could just be you and I, and no one else listens to it. Maybe we can get Chad or Cruz involved, or maybe even Barb, or others
we
in
get
the
a guest
orbit.
spot once in a while. I mean, if this thing could go viral if we got Chad on the horn. I mean, Lord only knows. Yeah, but
I don't want to get canceled. That's the thing.
Yeah, but no, I believe me, I would love to have those guys involved for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, if they're listening, hey.
Hey, I told my boys. I told my boys about it, so we'll see.
Yeah, I gotta figure out where I'm gonna post this. I'm thinking YouTube. It would just be audio on YouTube, and people can check it out that way. It's probably the easiest way to do it. We got to come up with a better name, though. I'm not sure if I'm sold on the whole Friends of Jeff thing.
What did I come up with?
Yeah.
It just all of a sudden hit me. I'm like, what if we just called it the Average Joe?
Isn't there a name?
There probably is.
That's the thing is we have to have the domain name available.
I wouldn't even know how to find that out.
There is already the Average Joe.
You know what? That's probably why I thought of it, because I probably saw it somewhere. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we can not have a name for now, or just leave it as is and figure it out as we figure things out.
Oh, wait. Didn't we have something else that was referred to? Not FOJ, but it was F something. Oh man! Did we name like a?
I'm sure we had F something for a lot of things.
Didn't we have like a computer football league named after it was like F y'all MFers? Well, yeah, but I thought we named our league like F something.
FYM.
That
was my team. Yeah, FYM was from the movie Fear of a Black Hat.
FYM, that's right. I was trying to remember what that was from.
Yeah, I have not seen. I haven't thought about that movie in ages, but yeah, I have. My fantasy football team was always called FYM. And if you've seen the movie, you know what that stands
for without having to see the movie. But if it's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm. Well, that could be a mission. People can go and search out what FYM means. Fear of a Black Hat. That's hilarious. That's your clue.
That's hilarious. Well, all right, man. Well, I will leave you with that one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So FYM.
I like it.
All right.
Sounds good.
I guess that's it.
Talk to you later.